Hi, everyone, and welcome to our panel discussion about hybrid work, back to business, or are we? My name is Johanna Varje. I'm the head of growth at Auntie, and I have three wonderful guests here with me today, and I will let them present themselves. Go ahead.
So my name is Eliisa Valkonen. I'm the country HR in Visma Finland. And yeah, we're a tech company. We breathe tech all the way. We have a lot of softwares around the globe, and more or less we operate in Europe, but we do have operations in outside Europe as well. We have about more than 13,000 employees, and in Finland it's about 1,650. I have a background in HR. I've been working in HR for the past 15 years now. And in Visma, it's been a 4-year journey for me. A lot of new things, a lot of growth, a lot of opportunities. And I guess the sort of spirit in Visma is, even though we're very customer-centric, but we do love our employees. And this hybrid work and the future of work is that way really important to us.
Thank you, Eliisa. Go ahead, Henrike.
Yeah, my name is Henrike Jürs. I'm a business psychologist and I'm working as senior HR business partner in Ramboll. Ramboll is an independent foundation-owned engineering, architecture and consulting company, and it has been founded in Denmark in 1945. We are today operating in many countries globally, in 35 countries today with 16,000 experts. And what we are striving for is to deliver integrated and sustainable solutions for global and local challenges, and that have a good sustainability focus. I myself am employed in Germany, and I'm supporting our very fast-growing business in Germany and our leaders in the many different aspects of leadership, but also in organizational performance. And I was very much connected to the whole new ways of working establishment in Ramboll. So I'm happy to discuss this today.
We're happy to have you here today, Henrike. Thank you. And it's great to see how both Visma and Ramboll are growing and thriving. Niina, go ahead.
Yes, so hi to everyone. I'm Niina Mäenpää, Auntie professional. And like Henrike, I'm also a work and organizational psychologist, and I have a background in organizational and leadership development consultancy, and also some experience on recruitment consultancy, as well as occupational health psychology. And yeah, I am from Finland, as you can guess probably from my name, but at the moment I'm based in Luxembourg, and yeah, working here, and quite a lot with all kind of international global HR projects at the moment. Yes.
Thank you, Niina. And I think it's great how we're represented by so many countries here today, and I hope we can get an international point of view into our discussions as well. I think it's good to start with, things have been uncertain for the past couple of years, and they still are, which most of us probably did not expect that it would take this long, and we still wouldn't know quite what's happening. So let's start by sort of discussing what is the return to the office? What does that look like at the moment? Are we going back, or what's happening? Eliisa, do you want to share how you at Visma have sort of taken the subject and how you're working on it?
Yeah, I can definitely start. I had a bit of a freeze in the connection. I don't know if you noticed, but yeah, with Visma, situation is really difficult. It's in terms of, it's very different from.
I think Eliisa is having some trouble with her connection. Do you want to go first?
Everything is sort of back to normal. People are allowed to go back to the office. Then we have, well, let's say Norway.
Maybe Henrike first, and hopefully Eliisa can get her connection working.
It has been a very, very long journey until 2020. And yes, we are in the moment in a very big mix of remote working from the office, visiting clients, not visiting clients yet. Because we are, of course, a global company, it's a little different in the different countries. But we are happy to see that our offices are mainly starting to fill up again, at least in those parts of the world where the local restrictions allow for more people gathering. We are operating definitely in a hybrid model today. And yes, this is a learning journey, our CEO also said recently. And what we will see is new best practices, but we will also experience some pain points, we guess. So we established a global future workplace project group to align on good practices across countries and also to share our lessons learned. And yeah, due to governmental decisions, of course, the countries are opening with different speeds. So there is no other opportunity than working in a hybrid world when you are a global company. And we have launched some remote working policies in every country that sort of guide people how to work remotely in the different countries, and all under the roof of global guidelines like health and safety insurance, and to prioritize operational needs, of course.
Okay, thank you. Be interesting to hear more about the best practices and the things that you've come up with in this project group that you've established. Eliisa, we lost you for a minute there, but it seems like you're back.
I don't know what happened. Yeah, but
it seems to happen when Eliisa starts talking. Niina, do you want to?
Yeah, like us, we were open situation depending on the country. So Denmark is open, Norway is open. Sorry, guys, I seem to have a real big problem with the connection. I'll try again a little bit later.
Okay, let's do that. Niina, from a psychologist point of view, what would you say is, how are people feeling at the moment with the uncertainty and the possible return to the office?
I would say that like we heard, the situations are very different. I think also the feelings about these situations are very different, because I would say that some people are enjoying the flexibility of this kind of uncertain world, and like the possibilities to work remotely wherever they like. And then some other people, they are kind of wishing to kind of get back to the office with the old colleagues, and also maybe even kind of feel kind of a little bit more a sense of control in this kind of change situation or uncertainty where we are living at the moment. So but they are quite big issues, like, because people kind of they might even battle a little bit with their kind of value priorities, and like in a way they might like to go back to the office and see all the to see all the colleagues and enjoy the lively encounters with the colleagues and so on. But on the other hand, it might, for example, take away this flexibility they have, like they might not have to travel or spend an hour in a traffic jam, or like, for example, here in Luxembourg, there has been a huge difference in the traffic since people are staying more home, and they might be able to do more sports and stay longer with their kids, and those are quite important aspects of life as well.
Yeah, of course. How would you say, we've talked a lot about, or heard a lot about, how isolation and all this can affect us and our mental well-being. I just recently read a study about how the uncertainty of not knowing what's going to happen in the next few months also causes a pretty big strain on our mental well-being. Have you seen this when you meet with your clients and organizations?
Yes, yes, partly. But then on the other hand, if we kind of think about our basic needs, like some people, they really strive for this kind of a certainty, but then there are lots of people who enjoy actually the flexibility and the possibility to influence more on their life and on their work, and kind of these can be kind of quite balancing on the same way that you're kind of losing something, but then you are getting also something extra, like some motivational aspects. So actually I have also heard lots of people saying that actually they feel much better now at the moment, and even some research shows that it's not like it's not always the case that the well-being is getting like worse. It depends really a lot on the situation where people are like, and I think of course, for example, here again an example from Luxembourg, there's a lot of people like working as an expats and being away from their families, and then they are not allowed to go to the work, and they might feel actually quite lonely. And then there's these situations where you can skip the traveling to the work and or even the big work travels and stay more with your family and your loved ones. So it is really kind of, I would say, that an individual issue, and that's why I also always support people to talk about their feelings and their expectations and their hopes in this situation, and I think that's the kind of a key here, to really in a one point reflect and kind of be aware of your own expectations and feelings and thoughts, and then also to discuss about it with the people working with.
I guess that's what makes it really complex, this situation, and especially for the sort of HR people in the company, and also for the leaders, because we have people who have been used to things along this year and a half or almost 2 years now, and a lot of people, they really have found the benefits of they've more time with their family, and then the others, they really want to go back to the office, see the colleagues, and some are not coming back, so it's different for them as well. We can't promise that then there will be like a lot of colleagues at the office and everything will be fun again. What you needed, so that's the sort of complexity. We need to take this on an individual level. We need to take this on team levels, and I guess that's what a lot of the companies in Visma are doing now. They are having these discussions with employees and finding out the individual needs of everyone. And that's a new thing, and I guess we can't really go back, because forcing people into a specific model, it usually doesn't work.
Exactly, because that takes then the kind of a possibility to influence away, which is also a very important basic need for us. But also kind of one point, we need to take this issue to the individual level, but on the other hand, also I see this kind of an organizational or team level, where we can see that we learned from Google that the psychological safety is very important topic for teams to be effective and creative and so on, and trust is also kind of a strong bond, and then we have now a little bit seen that actually now when we are remotely and away from each other, we are kind of losing that part of the interaction, this really kind of unintentional or uninformal like encounters, which are building then the bond in the team. And in this sense, we should kind of hope that people will come back to the offices, because we need those lunch breaks and coffee breaks and meetings on the hallway between the meetings, and so in that sense, so this is kind of a tricky situation.
Yeah. And that's really the complexity. We need also innovation. We know that sometimes, innovation needs that you have those people around you and you have that interaction.
Exactly.
From the business point of view, we worked very well with the flexibility. We did a big survey amongst all of our colleagues to understand the needs and challenges from a global perspective. And the people believe that the majority says they are as productive to work from home as in the office, and also due to the technical equipment that is there today, they find it easy to stay connected and to continue good engagements with the clients. So there is also a lot of positive learnings that this works, and that hybrid can be the new normal. And what you just addressed is also the challenge that we saw in these surveys. It's the question of connection and feeling this sense of belonging, as you would say. And so what we somehow try to get answers from the employee for each individual, but also from the team leaders, is that the question is, why are you getting to the office? It's not the question, why are you working from home? So somehow there's change of paradigm. What is the benefit of working in the office, and how do you get your day structured when you are in the office? That is the time when you stay connected and go to the coffee machine, and that's maybe not the time when you work still on your computer. This is now home time. And yeah, so it changes a lot.
Yeah, that's true. I guess we are moving from, thinking that whether this is a job that you can do from home or is it an office job, we're going into that every job has a different sort of, tasks that would be better or more efficient to do from home or more efficient to do from the office.
Yeah, and I think from the psychological point of view, I think that's actually when we really can kind of make a good match with the job itself, and then the doer. I think then we are, and also not forgetting the business side either. I think when we have the kind of possibility to really match those things, I think we are kind of in a, I think that could be the kind of the opportunity in this all.
What exactly does it mean from the employer's point of view? Henrike, you mentioned that you have a project group working on this, and what does it mean in practice to return to the office or transition into a hybrid working model at the moment?
That's changing, of course, from country to country. Most of the countries are opening offices, as I said, with, of course, all the hygiene and distance rules that are applicable. It means also for leaders to have agreements with teams, how to meet, where to meet, and we have some sort of rule, I would say, that if there are people in the office to meet in a meeting and some are working from home, then the whole meeting should be virtual, so no one feels excluded from this group who are meeting in one room. And what it means, as I said, it's a lot of it's also a question of trust, and trust of both. So the trust of course the leaders that work can be done as well from home as in the office, but also on the other hand, also an employee must trust the company that we do everything to protect the health and safety of our employees when they come to work. So also this is an aspect that we take very seriously. So when governmental rules change, we change also our rules, of course. And we, right now we have these, in Germany, for example, we still wear masks in the offices when we move along. And we also encourage and recommend regular testing of staff if they come to the office, to also give this feeling of safety for those staff who are here.
Okay. Eliisa, what kind of steps have you taken, or what kind of best practices have you found for this transition at Visma?
I guess for many of our countries, we're still, not at the office. So it's a lot of sort of theoretical stuff going on. But I guess the first thing was, it was already last year that we decided that we will go to recommending hybrid work for the whole of Visma. So I guess that was the first point. Where do we stand? And we know that we're listening to also sort of our competitors, what they do, what do Apple do, what do Google do, and that sort of thing. But then it's a lot of those practical stuff, and a lot of the conversation now going on is still how many days will you be working at the office? How many days will be working at home? And I think we need to step up to the sort of next level from all those, making sure that it's safe to come to the office in terms of, hygiene and that sort of thing. But we need to step up and think that this is an opportunity to change how we work together. So how are we going to make the most of it? Because we want to do this, we want to make it work, the hybrid work. So what are the things that we need to take in consideration? And then the sort of discussion moves on to what is leadership in a hybrid world? How does it change actually? What is sort of, the sort of flexing in between remote and the office? What does it actually mean? And do we need more technology to support that? What is equality in this hybrid work? So it's a lot of sort of theoretical discussion, and most of the practical stuff is about how many people are we going to have at the office, and what does it look like in terms of that?
Yeah, I think the equality question that Henrike mentioned as well is something really important and interesting. Would you say that people who are working from home and are at the office, do they have the same opportunities, or does it take a lot of work to make sure that they are treated equally?
I think that varies also whether the leader is hybrid or working from office or working from home, because they need to adapt a new sort of style. They need to ensure that whether they don't have sort of physical contact for the employees all the time, how can they ensure that they still have enough interactions with employees to ensure that they all have this possibility, for instance, for career paths or career development. So I think it's a tricky question, but I think we can do a lot in sort of people or HR organizations to ensure and keep that discussion going on, that we need to ensure that everyone is treated equal.
Yeah, and I think that was. Go ahead, Henrike.
What we also understand somehow that this is very much related to own biases. So what is the bias that a leader has? Is he convinced that working from home is good, or has the same output than working from the office? And to help leaders to understand their own bias or attitude helps a lot in being open for a hybrid world, and also being open for different styles of employees performing their work.
Yeah, and I could continue with that actually, because I think it's also like not just only in the kind of leader level the biases, but also like if we think about us like as an individuals, and we are quite often comparing, like making this social comparison, and it can be quite biased quite often if we don't really kind of take a moment for reflection again, as we might even not realize as a leader or a team member like what the others might think or feel. As for example, I have heard working with one hybrid team that the ones who were working from home, they felt like isolated, and that they are not as equal parts of the group. And then the ones who were working at the office, they felt that they are not equal, as they don't have the flexibility as the ones who are working from home. And like there's lots of these kind of assumptions and like thoughts, and I think without kind of understanding this and talking about these things, I think we might take the wrong path.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that leadership definitely plays a major role in a successful hybrid working model. What kind of new skills would you say that leaders or managers, team leads need to learn in order to be successful in this?
It is recognized in Ramboll very much that people managers need a different skill set in order to retain and engage in a hybrid world. Empathy is a key leader competency. That's what I hear everywhere here. And so what we recommend is to reach out regularly with your employees individually. Of course, listen and understand to the worries, to the challenges, to any changes in the environment and circumstances of the employees. Support your employees, and yeah, show empathy and understand the needs. And what we did to support leaders with the skills is we offered virtual leadership trainings in the different countries, and now also a big virtual course curriculum is out, and there we address the different needs of the managers. Some want short, comprehensive information, so we have a fast curriculum, as you can say. Then we have the LinkedIn. We use LinkedIn Learning, and we have LinkedIn Learning curriculums where people leaders can choose when they want to do one or the other presentation or learning. And we have further rolled out some leadership principles that also apply to all employees, no matter where they work. So
yeah, it's like an individual approach.
Yeah, I could add that people skills, really, basically. What I think what has been most difficult for our leaders is how to ensure that you actually listen enough to the employees. Sort of the observation skills. How do you recognize that someone is actually feeling really bad when you're only maybe you have your camera on, maybe you don't. So how to actually observe how your team is doing. I think that's really crucial. What has been really helpful in our organizations is that we've organized these facilitating skills trainings, also for sort of these online situations. And I think that will be a great help, making sure that everyone's really being heard of, and that's really good. I think it's nice, Henrike, that you had put up the leadership principles, because we've done that too. We felt it's time to really go out and say what we think was really important in leadership.
Niina, what about from an individual's point of view? What are sort of the needs that people have right now that these leaders need to maybe consider and meet?
I think I couldn't kind of agree more with Henrike and Eliisa. So I think people, they have the need to be heard, to be seen, and to be appreciated. Like and especially like when people are working like remotely or kind of or feeling at all this kind of an isolation, I think it's even more important. And because we have all these kind of different needs and different motivations, I think like maybe more than ever, it's important to really have this kind of personal discussions, and this is also the way then also build trust in the team, and I would then of course support even when it's important to have this kind of a one-to-one discussions, but also to have this kind of a discussions all together. As I think in a one sense we need kind of a strong leadership here, but I think it's on the other hand we also kind of need the leadership is more shared even in the hybrid teams, that all the members, they need to take the responsibility of the team's joint success, and then also leading themselves, especially if they are there alone at home without that much of boundaries and so on. With all this flexibility, it needs kind of this kind of a responsible act from each and every one of us.
There's a burden on the shoulders of a leader in these times, and we also understood there's a lot of communication needs in the organization and connection needs, and I also read this from some other companies, but what we, for example, did globally to say we do not want 1 hour meetings anymore. So if you put in a meeting, just do 45 minutes, so we have more time in between. Or no half-hour meetings, just 25 minutes meetings. That gives you more room to breathe through, to concentrate, to maybe also call one of your peers or employees to have a short update call, a short check-in, and because if we do not somehow try to also make more room to breathe through, then no leader can, with no pause, will be able to have this empathy and to listen carefully, because he will be overburdened with information and flows and communications all the time. So it's also a question how you can structure that better.
And must say quickly that this is really important from the kind of a well-being perspective, and this kind of having those breaks as a recovery places in between. So I think that sounds really nice way to do it.
I think many organizations have been overwhelmed with meetings, especially leaders, and I think they've been through a very tough call. And now they've sort of they have that system of their own now, how they cope with it, how they have their team meetings, how they do one-to-ones. And now going back to the hybrid world, they're going to be at the office and they're going to be, doing these hybrid. It's a new model again. So it's a lot of ambiguity, a lot of changes when it comes to leaders, a lot of pressure, and also, it's really testing their resilience skills on these changes. So, like said, we need to teach also the employees how to manage themselves, but I think we need to support those leaders in, managing their selves in this sort of new situation, because it's a lot of managing stuff and thinking things new. And it can be overwhelming in terms of the well-being of our leaders. One thing I thought, because in the IT sector we also have companies who don't have leaders at all. This might be, I don't know, what will this hybrid work cause to that? It might be that we'll see even more companies without leaders in the future. Who knows?
That's true. There's been a lot of discussion about how this is affecting us mentally, and there's pandemic fatigue or remote work fatigue, and of course this type of stuff takes a toll on our spirit and for many their motivation. What would you say that we as team members or team leaders can do for our team and our colleagues in order to keep up that good spirit and motivation?
So I think I have mentioned that already. We have been asked leaders to rethink why they are going to the office and how to spend the time at the office. This is now a very valuable time that you can spend with people and spend connecting. And I think what with regard to the team spirit, what we used was definitely this summer break, where the figures were that low that we could encourage people to meet up, to use the time after work to also gather together and to see each other again. And we tried to do some, of course, with the distant rules and maximum capacity rules, some summer gatherings in the offices, so people get together again, because we of course have to look into what happens in autumn this year, and will we be able to hold up the whole motivation if we are not connected in between. So this is now a time where we really want to focus on getting connected again face to face. But as Eliisa said, you cannot, and we also do not want to force people to come back to the office, because it's a very personal decision if you feel safe enough. What we did, we offered vaccination offers in the bigger offices we have here in Germany, and to support the speed that people feel more safe. And that was, for example, somehow an event that gave so much good and positive and motivation and spirit that people gathered together and had the feeling of now we did something good to get back to our connection again.
That's great to hear, and it kind of sounds like it's building a sense of community. Before I let you, Eliisa, continue, just a quick reminder that you can send questions and comments to the chat, and we will get to them in a few minutes. Go ahead, Eliisa.
Yeah, I think it's also a good time to, gather people, even though they might be in a remote mode, but gather people and, start, thinking about the future together. And I think that can be really motivating as well, when you can take part and have your say. And I think that should be happening now in the different teams to prepare for the future. I think it always helps when you have some sort of a plan going forward and something that you can sort of imagine that this is what it will be like, and we will come over it together as a team or as a company.
Thank you. What about Niina? Do you have any practical tips on how we can support each other?
I think we got already quite good tips here, but yeah, I think in general, just having those talks and discussions we had before the remote time, just maybe using another communication channel, maybe just sometime if we can't get together, still we can communicate together and we still can talk about these issues we were talking while having a coffee together or while having a small break between meetings. So kind of really, I think the key is to really put effort to also those encounters, those ones which are not so always professional. And I like the Eliisa's idea to then also start to talk together, like how we see the future and how we would like to work together in the future, and how would it be, kind of what would be the best solution for us as a hybrid team. So because then there's also this goal and which brings motivation to do that then.
Yeah, that's true. We are right on schedule. That's pretty amazing. I'm reading the comments and questions here in the chat. There's a lot of great ones. Someone mentioned that introverts have maybe liked this possibility to participate in meetings remotely and not be physically present. And then there's a question sort of related to that. Any tips for hybrid meetings, how to include everyone?
I guess technology is also one key to this. You know, we used to, now that we're all remote, we all use the sort of same equipment. But when we go to the office, you know, some might be in a meeting room and some are remote. And I think it's very, you know, it might be difficult to actually get the feeling of the meeting that way. So I think we need to come up with, you know, new policies on how to use also IT to support that feeling of a community.
And I think it's also important to make sure that everyone has kind of an equal skills to use those technologies that doesn't support the unequal situation. So also if there's any kind of a feeling of not knowing how to use some technology or how to communicate, then that should be also discussed, as this can be also kind of a isolating issue if you feel that you don't know how to do something.
That's a good point. And there's another question here. How does the hybrid era affect productivity?
We've done some measurements, and I think surprisingly, it hasn't really affected our productivity, but we don't know the sort of how it will look like in the longer run. So especially, you know, what we've learned on the Corona situation is that we have succeeded very well, and it in some occasions it has even improved. So we need to sort of keep that when we go and enter into the hybrid era as well, and sort of try to make the most of it.
Yeah. But with a view in the future, we definitely know that feeling connected, and this is part of our core fundamentals here, and we have some sense of culture and community. And I have to say that we definitely are now trying and erroring, I would say, new models for the upcoming autumn, how to rebuild this connection even in a remote world. Because yes, I would agree to you, Eliisa. The figures are there. It's stating that we are as productive as before, but how much are we still profiting from the time before? And when what will happen if connections are again a long time off? So there need to be new IT solutions, I would say. Yes.
Yeah. a question kind of related to that just popped up. Would you say that the remote work has increased the workload in general?
I think that's a difficult question. I think it's very personal as well. I think we have, large individual differences in that sense. I guess I see the most sort of workload with those employees who try to tackle this with the sort of same recipe as before.
Exactly.
So if you haven't been able to sort of adjust to the situation, the workload might be huge. So, and those are the ones that we need to support as well to get some new sort of solutions, personal solutions, how to cope.
We also saw this on individual level, and a recommendation was to make sure you structure your day right. So get up, first have a good breakfast and a coffee, and don't directly from bed go to your workplace and open your computer, but make it more structured, and then also have a structured time to shut off, to really relax and make sure you don't always work just because your laptop is at home.
Yeah.
Sorry, Eliisa.
I think what we've seen is that many have taken this, as an opportunity to also think their workday differently. So we have a lot of people who actually, they take their kids to the kindergarten or wherever, then they start working, then they might take the dog out for an hour in between and get that exercise as well. And then they might continue, then they get the kids from school or kindergarten, and then they might continue a little bit. So, it's been very different depending on the individual.
Yeah, and I think it's again, we were talking a little bit about these self-management issues, and somehow I think the ones who kind of took the time to kind of really to rethink the way of they work, like Eliisa said, and also then try to kind of use effective self-management tools to like Henrike said, to build up the routines and then make a clear kind of a distinction with work and then the kind of other life and having good recovery. I think then they might have been kind of a winners, but yeah, it depends a lot from the individual perspective.
Yeah. And also, of course, the company or a leader is sending. So if you, as an employee, always receive emails on Saturday evening, it gives you the feeling that also you are supposed to work on Saturday evening. This is very much known everywhere, and still it happens from time to time. And there we need to be very aware what this does to the individual employee if constantly emails are coming in times which are normally taken for rest. Yeah,
that's a good point. As some email software, you can set the time when the email is sent. So if you want to write it at a certain time, you can still set the time when it's sent. That can be helpful. There's quite a few questions coming in. We will maybe go a couple minutes over time. I will try to get a few more in. Eliisa mentioned leaderless companies. Can you share some examples how these companies or teams operationally function?
Yeah, I guess it goes to the sort of agile world, which many IT companies have. So it's actually the team themselves who distribute the work and what they do and organize it in a. They might actually have a very, very effective system, but it needs really good communication. They need to be able to have the information they need to be able to cooperate, and also the sort of big picture needs to be clear. Mm-hmm. But we do have very successful teams as well in Visma without leaders.
Okay, thank you. And then there's one directed to Henrike. You mentioned already that you have some hybrid work policies in place. Could you please describe briefly what are the main points in these policies?
Remote working policies we have in place, because that's where we could where we are already fast enough to have this established in all countries. And it's mainly about giving flexibility, understanding and valuing the work-life balance of each employee, but on the same time making sure that the operational business is always up and running. For example, to have some core times where you usually should be available for a meeting, for project gatherings and all this, but it's still your own your own planning when exactly you will start and end, but you have to make sure that you somehow can be available at these times, because that's an agreement. So it's a lot about commitment and agreeing. And another policy was where is remote working, what are good places for remote working, and we agreed that in the coffee shop this is not a good place for remote working. It's no data protection and this is not good, but at home, or even though if you have a nice summer house, yes, of course you can also work from there. So we have somehow framed it a bit what is possible in the remote work, and overall stands as always the communication and the agreement between manager and employee, and also the agreement of teams. So building team charters and agreeing on when do we want to be available. This can differ from team to team, also sometimes depending on clients' needs and or depending on where is the client located. So some teams need to be there in the morning hours for some Asian clients, and others need to be available in the afternoon hours because there's a US driven market to serve, and that makes it so tough to have one clear policy for all. So overall we more give room for team and individual agreements than to a standard frame that, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, I think we're running out of time and can't take all the questions here. These are very good questions though, and maybe we can include them in some of our future topics in our panel discussions and webinars. At this point, I would like to thank our guests, Niina, Eliisa, and Henrike. Thank you so much for being here. It was great to talk to you and hear how you were dealing with this strange and very special situation.
Thanks a lot for the invitation.
Thanks. Great experience.
And thank you so much to the audience that was here today. Have a great week.